Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Lady Calamere, and today I am doing a presentation on the goddess Cerridwen. Please excuse me, I am still sick with the COVID-19. I had a horrible weekend. This Saturday I was in the ER because of it. So luckily they didn't need to keep me, but I'm still sick. 5 weeks. Anyways, enough about me. Let's talk about the lovely, powerful, great goddess Cerridwen. Now, this is a statue I pretty much put together. I painted this, and I put the triple moon, and I painted the elements on her head, on her star. You see, not her head, the star, the symbol for the elements. You see spirit, water, fire, earth, and air. And there's an oxbone skull there. And here we have a cauldron painted black and a sow with the piglets. And here you see where I painted her and I show her facial definitions. Let me see if I can get closer. There we are. And you see she's snow and blood. And the goddess named Cerridwen is on this. Oops. Well, this comes off. It's not broken. Don't worry, people. I hope you can hear me. My voice is a little shot. Let me adjust this. And we got the beautiful card, Cerridwen, for inspiration, which she's a goddess of inspiration. Here we have the Dark Goddess Oracle cards by Barbara, I can't pronounce her, Mikkel John Free and Flavia Kate Peters, designed by Kate Osborne. So, Cerridwen, who is she? Well, she's a very powerful witch goddess. How many children did she have? Some say 2. Well, she did have twins, a daughter and a son, and she had a third son. 2 by Teget Bolin, Teget the Bald. And 1, so we'll get into that. This one's not by Teget. So, this one was by the Awin Magick. So, things about Cerridwen. Cerridwen is a shapeshifter. She's a sorceress, a witch, a wise woman of the Awin. She owns a throne that gives her sovereignty and power. And her cauldron, well, we know the cauldron is that of magic, transformation, the womb, life, rebirth, and even death, the light, the dark mysteries, and the Awin comes from the cauldron. It is the power of scrying and knowing the past, present, and future. The cauldron can be used for potion making and so much more. But even without the throne and the cauldron, she has great power, all to her own. Okay, and also, by the way, I made this triple moon here. ADD time. This actually has paint that glows in the dark. So we have the waxing, the full, and the waning. And she is the goddess of the moon. So she has a story in the Mabinogion. And then the story of Taliesin, written down by Christians, of course. And it was written in the 13th century. And most likely about Tally, which was the book of Taliesin and Abinadon, is most, they say it's about a 6th century poet, but maybe older than that. You know how those Christians are, right? They like to preserve history, but also put their own spin on things. So, Taliesin, sorry, not Taliesin, sorry, bear with me, still sick. Cerridwen. She is a Welsh goddess, and people actually originally weren't called the Welsh, they called themselves a Cymry, Cymri, which meant friends. But the English from England, Britain, gave them the name Welsh, which meant foreigner, and it stuck. So the people of Wales, the Cymry, are from Wales. So there's some little information about that. Cerridwen, who is the wife of Tegid Foel or Foel, either one, Tegid the Bald. And she ruled in Tegid's land, along with her husband. Now she gives birth to 2 children, a daughter and a son. The daughter and the son represents the balance of light and dark, beauty and ugliness, but also kindness and even cruelty. So we see a balance here that she gives birth to. She gives birth to a daughter and she names her Cerridwen. I hope I'm saying it right, which means gorgeous, light, beautiful, fair. And her son, which she doesn't understand how he could be so horrific. And her son's name is actually Morfron, which means great raven. And he was given the name of Fagdu, which means dark and ugly and mean. Now Cerridwen, I'll get into her name, but let's get into the story. So Cerridwen can understand why he's so misformed, because he's hairy, he's dark, and as he gets older, he gets more grumpy and quarrelsome. And she knew because of this he would not be accepted by the other nobles. He would not be accepted into the court. Her poor son. And Cerridwen is a good mother. She is a mother goddess. She's a dark goddess too, but she is a mother goddess. So she has to do something for her son. So she consults her cauldron, she consults her inner wisdom, her inner knowledge and astrology, and she is a goddess of astrology. So, and she's also a goddess of she's also a goddess of potion making and spells and herbals and everything else like that. So she is supposed to brew in her cauldron, her sacred cauldron, a potion that's supposed to be brewed for a year and a day. And at certain times, exactly at certain times, herbs are supposed to be put in a cauldron. Now, she enlists Gwion Bach, which means Gwion, the young. And he is kind of like ignorant and poor. And she has him stir the cauldron because it needs to be stirred a lot. And the cauldron needs to be kept ablaze underneath. It needs to be kept hot and boiling. The potion needs to have water in, of course, and other herbs in. So she enlists the help of a blind old man to keep the cauldron fires burning. And his name was Modron. And so, excuse me, I'm going by memory here. And at certain times she would throw the herbs in. Now, at the end of the year of the day, 3 drops with all that is good. The rest will be toxic poison. And she put her son towards the end next to the cauldron at the end of the year and the day. Now, there's 2 different parts of the story. Some say that the drops didn't spill on her son. It went onto Guion's thumb, and he sucked it, put it in his mouth. And like I said, the rest of the brew in the cauldron was poison. But there's another one that he wasn't so dopey, that he literally pushed Cerridwen's son out of the way, or that we put his thumb there. And the potion was so hot, it burned his thumb, and he put it in his mouth. And once he put it in his mouth, he got the awen, inspiration, poetry, the knowledge of magic and power, and past, present, and future. And he knew the rage of the goddess. Oh, she'd be pissed. Now, it is said because of what happened, the cauldron just rebelled and broke. It literally split, and all the poison came out and went into into this river, and horses in the neighboring land, right next to her land, died from the poison. And that river was called now, what was it called? The poison, the poison of horses. So Cerridwen was in a fury, and Guion knew to want it, and the chase was on. Now Guion, he now had the powers of shape-shifting, just like Cerridwen, who's a shapeshifter. So the chase was on, and he changed himself into a hare, and she changed herself into a greyhound dog. Sorry, and nearly caught him. So when he came to a river, he changed himself into a salmon, and she became an otter. And right before she nearly got him, he quickly changed himself into a wren, who is a king of birds and a king of men. So he flew into the air, and Cerridwen changed herself into a hawk. And as she reached for him with his talons, he changed himself into a grain of wheat and fell among the other wheats. And she changed herself into a black-crested hen, and she pecked him out and swallowed him. Now, if he knew the past, present, and future, why would he change himself into all those things? Well, he knew what best to change himself into. So she swallowed him. And this will happen around, I would say, August. For as time went on, she realized she was pregnant. Her third child. And she vowed to kill him when he was born. She gave birth to him. And as she was going to kill him, she couldn't, because of his beauty. She just couldn't do it. and his bright brow, he had like a glow around him. So she put him in a leather satchel, leather bag, and set him into the sea. She didn't name him, but he was found by a prince. And they say he was like kind of poor or something, like having no children or no luck in it. And his name was Elfin. And he went out, I believe, fishing. But instead of finding the fish, he found this bag and he opened it up, and it was a beautiful baby boy. And this bright brow. Beautiful, like absolutely gorgeous. So he named him Taliesin. Taliesin means of the bright brow. Now, how did she become pregnant when she swallowed? I mean, the intestines have nothing to do with the uterus, but through the magic of the Awen, when she swallowed him, he used his magic to be born again, to go into the womb instead of being digested. Taliesin, and that's a whole new story. And he becomes, as he grows, not only does he has past, he knows things. He has magical powers. He could do things that are great, and he has the power of the Awen and inspiration and intelligence and wisdom and the power of the bard, and he became the best bard in the land to ever be known in Wales. Taliesin. And that's a whole story in itself, a different story that I won't go into. So what does this story mean? We see the shape-shifting. We see that the different sacred animals, it represents life, becoming something better with the goddess. It represents an initiation. Now, when I said it was like August, he was born April 29th. Oh, April 29th. April 29th. What day is that? Beltane. May Day. Maypole Day. So we see that the goddess, through her, we become better, transformed. Cerridwen. What does her name mean? Well, there's several things. Cerridwen can also mean white sow. In fact, her animals, one of her main animals is a white sow. And we know that pigs, they eat just about anything. And I mean anything. They're omnivores. They'll even eat human flesh. I know, creepy. But anyways, we see that she's a devouring goddess. As she tries and eventually gets Gwion and devours him. But she's a goddess of birth. So she's a goddess of death and birth. She's also the goddess that deals with the underworld. A very powerful queen of witches. And that's one of her, people call her the queen of witches in Wales. And she's so respected among witchcraft and Wicca. So she's called a crone, and there is like one reference to her as being bent and hag and crone. But she's more of a older woman, but still in her childbearing years. That doesn't sound like a crone to me. So Cerridwen means white sow, but also Cerridwen deals with cauldron. So we see that she's a goddess of the cauldron. She's also called the Old One. Other names for Cerridwen is sometimes she's called what was that name that she was called? Oh, well, my memory is failing me thanks to coronavirus. She's White Song, one of her names. White Song. She's also been called the Fair and the Loved, Perfect Love, Crooked Woman. One of the Welsh sources that are given to her name is Graidwen, Graidwen, which actually the word comes to mean anger, heat, fighting, but also bravery. So we see things about her there, and also perfect love, she's also called. Please bear with me. I'm so sorry. I'm not feeling good, guys. But I'm getting better. But I think I'm getting hoarse, too. So, Cerridwen... I'm making some water. I'm sorry. Bear with me. Cerridwen, other names are some people call her the goddess of the Cauldron. So her, like I said, I told you her animals, which again is a greyhound, hawk, otter, black hen, as well as a pig, especially a white sow. Her color is white. Now, one of her festivals is July 3rd. But also, she also deals with winter. The winter solstice is a good time. She's a goddess of the moon, so there's some things that she's a goddess of the dark moon, but also the full moon. She's a goddess of the snows, when things are dying. Her color is white. But we see the white, what we mean is the white bones when you're dead. And all your flesh is off. The white bones is all that's left. And the teeth, the white teeth. And we see that the snow is there. Attributes is a cauldron and her throne. Her stones, labradorite, opal, Priscilla bluestone. That's one of the stones that make up the Stonehenge. One of the stones. Priscilla bluestone. So what is she a goddess of? She's an occult master, witchcraft, sorcery, astrology, herbs, life, death, rebirth, the knowledge of past, present, and future, goddess of initiations. She's a goddess of change and transformation. If the seasons never changed, if we never change, we would never grow. All things would just stay static and die. If you never change, if you never, change your clothes, if you never change your style, if you stay with the same person, that's bad for you. You'll wither. You'll die. Yet she is a goddess of the underworld. She's also could be very wrathful, as we see. She's the mother of light and dark. Inspiration. Poetry. The Awen itself. She's the goddess of bards. She is the enchantress. Cerridwen is a gratch, which means witch. The enchantress, a diviner. She's a goddess of divinations, scrying, fortune telling. But she knows potions. She knows how to heal. The goddess of inner alchemy. She is a goddess of the muses, of the other world, and even some people say the Fae. The goddess of the moon. She is a lunar goddess of waxing and waning. Now, they say that Gwion became a grain of corn, or kernel corn. That could not have happened. Corn was not in that land. That was to be found in the New World in the Americas. So when you see that Gwion became a grain of corn, BS. Grain of wheat. He became wheat. Corn wasn't there. So, no. Now, other things too, when I say she's a shapeshifter, she could be any form she wants. She could be a candle flame. She could be a roaring bonfire. She could be a rock. It's up to us to see her. Now, later on in Wells, she became the mother of a wolf. A monstrous cat. She's also associated with an eagle. But she has also been described as also Henwin, which means old white. So, and I think that was later on. But she is the great sow. And even the great sow has been known to eat its young. Like I said, they eat anything. Okay. So what else? Why would I want Cerridwen in my life if she would eat her own young? Because she could shake up your life and get rid of the things that are no longer serving you. She can teach you these things, the knowledge that you need to know, and shamanic powers. She can help you with manifestation for the things that you desire. But be careful, she can give you exactly what you want. Now, some people pronounce her name Cerridwen. That's not, because they're pronouncing the C as a cell instead of K, like in cat. But it's Cerridwen. So, we see that she would do so much for her son. She didn't do so much for, she didn't do that for Query, because Query would be accepted anyways. It was her son who became later on as a Fagdu. Poor Morphon, as she felt so sorry for, wanted to make a change. Now, she kept her cauldron at the bottom of Bala Lake, which is in Wales, of course. And the magical drink that she created was called Grial. The Grial is, when drunk, it gives inspiration and knowledge. Just trying to catch my breath. And that's okay. I like doing these presentations even when I'm sick. I look forward to this. This is who I am. My job as a priestess I take very seriously. This is part of my life and who I am. And I look forward to doing these. And I look forward to being better, to do more of these, and to continue to do these. So back on to Cerridwen. She is like I said, very wise, and she can give you good advice. She's very powerful and very, very resourceful. But she does also interfere with her children's lives sometimes. But that's okay. That's what mothers do. She can be very dark. She can get very angry. And she can be very disciplinary. So some people don't want to piss her off. But again, she is a dark goddess. She is a dark mother. Because even Gwion, when he got that potion in him, he realized the extent, the level of pissed off she can be. So everything must change. The seasons must change as Guion changed from one animal to another. Nothing stays the same. We all must... Cerridwen teaches us to chase what we want. And eventually we'll get what we want, as Cerridwen eventually gets Guion. What do you want to chase? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to change and transform? What do you want to put in that cauldron and stir up? What raw emotions do you want to become more refined? We can't just dig up, pump out oil and put it in our car. It needs to be refined. We can take metals and heat them up and make some beautiful art and beautiful things that we need and things that were essential to life. Turning sand into glass. Making glass, we have to put it in the fires, mold it, shape it. She's a goddess that can shape us and our lives, and she can teach us how to shape our lives too. How to change our lives. How can we make ourselves better? Do we dare drink from the cauldron? Once you do, you're inoculated. Once you know something, you're inoculated with that knowledge. Do you continue on? If you learn about the foods you eat are actually toxic and garbage, and you were taught to eat better food, do you dare? Do you continue to eat garbage, or do you eat the better food? It's inoculated with the knowledge and wisdom. And wisdom, with knowledge comes wisdom. Wisdom is applied knowledge. Cerridwen, her favorite people, of course, are witches. She loves her witches. She loves her fortune tellers and her diviners. But I'm repeating myself. She's also a goddess of rage. Remember that one. When you invite Cerridwen into your life, it's best to really respect her and give her the respect she deserved, unless you unleash her rage. Because she is a dark goddess after all. I'm not trying to scare you from her. She's actually very good to have. And she has a lot to teach, and she loves to teach. But as you the student, are you ready to be taught? Are you ready for the level of education? You can't just, decide you're a baby and all of a sudden go right into college. You have to learn, then attend college. Are you ready for her level? I'm not saying she's a goddess for advance, She can help you advance. But she can also help you see inside yourself. Who are you? Cerridwen knows. So I want to thank you so much for being here and watching my video. I'll give you a good look at this. And if you really liked my video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you'll never miss out. And you can share my video with your groups, with your friends. Thank you so much. And thank you to my subscribers. And thank you for watching this video. And as always, blessed be. May the gods preserve the craft and the craft preserve the gods. Have a wonderful day. And hopefully the next time I see you, I am over this COVID, because I'm so sick of it. 5 weeks of being sick. But anyways, thank you. Blessed be.